Fundamental attribution error is our tendency to overestimate personality or dispositional traits of behavior and underestimate the influence of circumstances on behavior. If someone slips and falls, we are more likely to think it's because she is clumsy, which is dispositional, rather than considering that the floor might have been wet, which is situational. We're driving and another car cuts us off. Our immediate reaction might be to label the driver as reckless or incompetent. However, this could be a fundamental attribution error. We're attributing the behavior to the person's character rather than considering situational factors. Perhaps they're rushing to the hospital or they made an honest mistake. Suppose a coworker misses a deadline and you immediately label him as irresponsible or lazy. However, you are not taking into consideration situational factors that may have led to the missed deadline. Perhaps he was dealing with a personal crisis, or he was overloaded with work. In all of those examples, the fundamental attribution error leads us to judge others harshly based on their actions without considering the external factors that could have influenced those actions. Often, we tend to believe that we can replicate the achievements of our role models. We feel confident that by adopting the same mindset and putting effort, we can rise to greatness just like they did. However, in this thought process, we overlook the significant role that external situations and environmental factors play in shaping outcomes. We may fail to recognize that our role models themselves may have had access to specific resources, support, or advantageous conditions that attributed to their success. This fundamental attribution error can lead us to make hasty judgments about others and oversimplify the complexities that influence human behavior and achievement. One of the earliest theories of leadership, trait theory, proposes that certain personalities and traits predispose a person to be a successful leader. However, it will be negligent to discount the impact of external factors on the leader's performance. Take George Washington, for example. Not known for his oratory skills, he may not even secure a political party's nomination in today's world, where public speaking is seen as a non-negotiable skill for politicians. Similarly, the case of Abraham Lincoln's re-election in 1864 demonstrates the influence of situational factors on historical outcomes. During the Civil War, Lincoln faced a highly contentious and challenging re-election campaign. The war had been ongoing for several years, resulting in significant casualties and mounting public discontent. Many people in the northern states, where Lincoln's support base lay, were wary of the war's cost and human toll, leading to widespread calls for peace negotiation with the Confederacy. As the 1864 presidential election approached, Lincoln's chances of re-election seemed uncertain. The Democratic Party nominated General George McClellan, who ran on a platform promising to seek an immediate armistice with the Confederacy. George McClellan's peace proposal appealed to a significant portion of war-weary voters, and the election was poised to be fiercely competitive. Lincoln's re-election prospects hinged on achieving a military victory that could bolster his chances and demonstrate the Union's strength and determination. This victory came in the form of General William Sherman's success in the Battle of Atlanta in September 1864. Sherman's capture of Atlanta was a significant triumph for the Union forces, boosting Northern morale and shifting public sentiment in favor of Lincoln's leadership. With Sherman's victory, Lincoln's chance of re-election improved significantly. the Union's military successes under his administration reassured voters that he was the right leader to guide the country through the final stages of the Civil War and to restore the Union. In the November 1864 election, Abraham Lincoln secured a decisive victory, winning 55% of the popular vote and carrying most of the northern states. Lincoln's re-election was a pivotal moment in American history. His victory not only secured his leadership during the crucial concluding stages of the Civil War, but also paved the way for his collaboration with Congress to pass the 13th Amendment to the United States Constitution. The 13th Amendment, which abolished slavery, was a monumental step toward achieving civil rights and ending one of the most contentious issues in American history. Without the victory at the Battle of Atlanta, Lincoln's chance of re-election would have been severely jeopardized because a major military defeat could have further eroded public support for Lincoln and his administration's handling of the war. It may also have led to renewed calls for peace negotiations with the Confederacy on terms that could preserve slavery or grant significant concessions to the Southern states. Those negotiations could have prolonged the war and resulted in a fragmented nation. Ulysses Grant, a man who had a string of failures as a businessman and was financially broke and would not have been recognized for his leadership capabilities had it not been for the Civil War. Despite facing numerous setbacks in his pre-war life, the pivotal events of the Civil War provided the platform for him to showcase his military brilliance and strategic acumen. His remarkable success on the battlefield caught Lincoln's attention, earning him promotions and key responsibilities. However, although Grant demonstrated remarkable military leadership, his trustful nature and the lack of political finesse proved to be challenging when navigating the political landscape of his time. His honest and straightforward approach might have been an asset on the battlefield, but it left him vulnerable to the cunning maneuvers and manipulations to the more politically skilled adversaries. The contextual circumstances of Civil War offered Grant the opportunity to rise to greatness and showcase his military leadership talents. Still, the subsequent struggles in politics illustrate how the impact of external factors, such as the nature of the situation and the specific challenges faced, can significantly influence the perception of a leader's effectiveness and suitability for different roles. Leadership, in essence, is about motivating others to achieve a shared goal. Leaders who have left their mark on history, for better or worse, are often elevated to a near-heroic status. From childhood, we are fed stories of great leaders like Alexander the Great and Abraham Lincoln, whose virtues, qualities, and traits are painted in heroic colors in history books. Many believe it was those inherent traits that enabled those leaders to occupy high office, win the admiration of others, and stand out from the crowds. Portraits, statues, and biographies, and even the pictures hanging on the walls of organizations perpetuate this image of near divine superiority, hinting at a predestined fitness to lead. However, these perspectives can be misleading, potentially leading to a fundamental attribution error where we tend to believe that only extraordinary people can hold high office, overlooking the critical role of situational factors. In our professional life, if employees resist a change initiative, leaders might attribute it to their inflexibility or stubbornness. That could be a fundamental attribution error. In reality, the resistance could be due to insufficient communication about the change, the pace of the change, or employees' fear of job loss. If there is conflict within a team, a leader may attribute the issue to certain team members' incompatibility and difficult personalities. However, that could be another fundamental attribution error. The team conflict could be more about situational factors, such as lack of clear communication, poor team structure, or external stressors. Can accountability help counter the fundamental attribution error? In an experimental study, participants read essays either supporting or opposing affirmative action policies. They were then divided into two conditions. One where they had to justify their impression of the essay writer, which is accountability, and the other where no such justification was required, which is a non-accountability condition. The accountability condition is designed to counteract the fundamental attribution error by requiring participants to justify their impression of the essay writer. It forces them to think more deeply about their judgment. Instead of immediately attributing the essay's viewpoints to the writer's personal beliefs, they must consider other potential influencing factors. Perhaps the writer was assigned the topic, or they were playing devil's advocate, or they were arguing a position they did not personally believe in to test their argumentative skills. The key factor here is timing. When participants knew that they would have to justify their impression before they formed their judgments, they were more likely to consider external factors from the start, thereby reducing the likelihood of a fundamental attribution error. However, if they were told they needed to justify their impressions after they've already formed their judgments, the fundamental attribution error has already taken place. At this point, their judgments have been influenced by their initial impression, and they are as likely to commit the fundamental attribution error as those who were not held accountable at all. The demand for justifying a decision can motivate us to invest more cognitive effort in processing information, but only if the demand is known by decision makers before their judgments are formed. Start observing your decision-making process and those of others around you. See if you can spot instances of fundamental attribution error. Please feel free to share your comments below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.